If you were to step back and look at the group dynamics of these peace-seeking dialogues, can you identify those transformational moments when changes in attitude or breaking through psychological tension somehow propels groups to a broader view?
Well, let me give you a third example which will answer your questions, and that's our work in Liberia. Liberia, country in West Africa, founded 150 years ago by freed American slaves that dominated the country and the indigenous people for all those decades. In 1980, a man named Sergeant Doe, the military, pulled off a coup. He killed the whole cabinet and the president took over, and he ran the country for 10 years. Then he was in turn assassinated and killed in another coup, and the whole country fell into total chaos. Down to the tribal level, everybody killing everybody else. It was horrible. The Carter Center in 1992 set up a center in Monrovia, the capital, and they invited us a year or two later to help them in the area of conflict resolution and the training. And so we went there and we eventually identified 9 people that we wanted to work with. There were 9 of those 9, 7 were men, 2 were women, 7 Christian, 2 Muslims. They were about at the number 3 level, the warlords, the deputy warlord, and then number 3. There was no safe space in Liberia, no safe haven. And so we took everybody to Ghana, a country nearby. And we went to a lovely place up in the north called Akasambo. And we had 10 days together with those 9 people. We were a 4-person team. It's a very interesting group. One of them was even a colonel in the military. And we sat in that circle when the colonel asked if he could give a prayer to get started. I was delighted, and he did in English. The very next day, one of the 2 Muslims said, could we do a prayer in Arabic? And we said, of course, and they did. But that sort of set the tone. But those 9 people gathered together, and we took a half a day for each of them to tell their story. Now, of course, wherever we go, there's fear. Everybody is afraid of everybody else. And that was certainly true in this circle. They were all afraid of each other, and that actually became a bond over time. But each one of them felt that they were the most traumatized person in the country, but by the time they heard the other stories, they realized that all of them were equally traumatized by the conflict. And that too became a bond. And they had these joint terrible experiences that they had shared together over time. And while we did the trainings that we were talking about and they began to interrelate with each other, the next to the last day, I proposed a new idea. I said, I'd like you as a group to project 25 years into the future. 25 years. What would you like your country to look like in 25 years? Well, that's difficult for anybody to do, but particularly if you worry about whether you're going to survive in a week or 2 after you get back to your country. But I said, I'm not going to put anything writing on the walls or on the blackboards. I just want to listen to you as you talk about your vision for the future. And I will write down what I hear, and I'll summarize it and I'll give it back to you tomorrow morning. We spent the whole day on that very simple exercise. And they got really into it, really involved, and each one of those 9 people participated. And I took notes, and that night I wrote it up. The next morning I gave it back to them. They didn't change a sentence or a paragraph or a word. It's only half a page. They all had a common vision. All these tribes that have been killing each other for whatever reason had a common vision of the future of their country. They wanted democracy, they wanted peace, they wanted education, they wanted jobs, they wanted freedom of the press, freedom of religion, all the things that we believe in this country. They had this common vision which was so simply stated that that's what they all agreed to. So I said this was fantastic, this was great, Now I wanted them to come back to today's world, and could they agree on one step toward that goal by the end of the day, the last day we were together. They thought they could. So they worked together. And that finally they came back and announced with pride they had agreed on 2 steps. The first step was to go back to Monrovia and create their own non-governmental organization on peace and conflict resolution. All 9 of them working together for peace, which was great. The second step, I said, we have identified 21 leaders in our conflict, the warlords, the UN, ECOMOG, ECOWAS, the key embassies, 21 different people. And we've agreed that all 9 of us together will meet over the next month, 9 to 1 in each of those 21 different meetings. We want these people, these leaders, to see physically that we can all work together to build peace. And that's what they did.